Alright, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Remember last week I showed you the Polar Burger?
Right, Donnie Diesel Donnie Polar Burger?
Exactly.
It's made from a raccoon?
Or a New York rat or a possum.
A possum. Sure. Possibly a possum.
Possibly a possum,
It's taken its spot on the menu for the Chili Davis chili dog, which is no longer available.
That is not available.
Yeah, no longer available.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Howdy.
gentlemen.
Hello, how are you?
How are you today?
How are you? Are you all sitting there celebrating that the dominant league has won the All-Star game?
The dominant league has won the All-Star game. Yes, that's the dominant. Well, the dominant league yesterday won the All-Star game.
The dominant league, I believe, 8 games in a row now, or something like that.
Yeah,
something
can
like
we
that.
go back? You know, as Major League Baseball begins to make actual changes that affect the game, can we get rid of some of these stupider things like the All-Star game having anything to do with the World Series? I mean, we don't need that anymore, right?
No, I think there should be a
baseball's out of the doldrums now.
I think there should be a dodgeball game to decide who has home court.
That would be
that's
definitely
actually
good.
Would be. But I mean, if you're going to have,
I would tune in for that.
If you're going to have 7-inning doubleheaders and you're going to put runners on second base and you're going to do those sort of things that really change the game, can we stop with these gimmicky? We need to make the All-Star game count for something because it's not supposed to count for something. And I'm not saying that because.
But having the best record, is that really? I mean, if a team
just do it alternating years.
No,
I think it should be the best record. If that bothers you, then do it alternating years.
It doesn't bother me.
How about alternating years or alternating best records?
How about alternating All-Star game winners?
Who put out the best record the year before?
That's right.
On the top 40 charts.
The Jose Altuve salsa.
It was a good album.
It was.
It really was.
Very good.
I bought like 3 copies.
That's right.
I did.
It had a lot of click tracks on it that were left over.
They forgot to take them out when they mixed it. It was horrible, but
he wouldn't take his
blended
shirt
well
off
with it blended well with the music. So.
He wouldn't take his shirt off for the cover, but
I'm just saying, these sort of gimmicky things. There must be a better way.
Yeah, I mean, historically, it was always the team with the best record.
Yeah, and there was nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm okay with that. I think that's more of a fair barometer than who wins the All-Star game. But
yeah, I can see that.
It does make the All-Star game at least mean something. And the players do seem to play a little bit more. There's more players playing in the All-Star game. There's less players opting out of the All-Star game than there has been because you started to see that trend going on.
Well, yeah, right, but that's that right, and that I think was more of a the reaction to that was because there were a bunch of assholes who decided not to play because it was meaningless, and fine, fuck them, send them packing. But
you don't feel that way about Mr. DeGrom deciding not to play, though, right?
Me? No.
Well, anybody, either of you?
No.
I think
I'm talking about guys.
Pitchers are a little different.
Pitchers are diffent. Pitchers are a different story. Yeah.
Guys who shall remain nameless, who are amongst the biggest stars in the Bonds game, and just no one liked them already. And then
if you are hurt and you need that, I mean, look, this is a good time for people to kind of rest. However, I do think the guys can rest sitting on in a first class plane, traveling to Denver, staying in a 5-star hotel, and having all your meals catered towards you. I think that's pretty good rest. Might even be more restful than some of these guys, especially if they're married and have kids. It's probably what they're looking for. It's probably the impetus to go to the All-Star game.
Yeah. And I'm fine with a guy who says, "Look, I'm a little bit banged up. I'd be playing every day, but I really could use 3 or 4 days of nothing. Sorry, I just I'm trying to." There's a bigger prize here, and I'd be like, okay, I'll miss you. Certainly if you're on my team, but I understand. It doesn't. Again, it's exhibition. Let's make it exhibition.
But it's certainly, especially with what the NBA All-Star Game has turned into, it's certainly the most interesting and I would say most professional all-star event out of all the major sports. Don't you think? I mean, it's
one of the.
Look, there hasn't been that. Coors Field is always filled with people with the visiting uniforms on, rooting for people that don't play for Denver. So it's nothing new. We were the perfect location for that. People didn't even notice. There were Rocky fans there. They didn't even,
there were more Rocky fans there during the All-Star game
during the last series.
Sure.
But I thought Denver did a great job. I thought it was a good game. I thought it was, struck a balance between pitching and hitting. And I think it also proves that in all of the Ohtani craze,
I
think, this year, and hopefully he can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better player in Major League Baseball than Vlad Guerrero Jr.? I mean,
he's a freak. He really is.
I mean, he sort of is like if you took Big Papi, Kirby Puckett, and like a younger Barry Bonds and put them together, he's better than them. I mean, at least he's having a stellar year. And so he has all the power numbers. What was he hitting going into the All-Star game? 340?
It's up there, yeah.
334, I think.
I mean, and I think about a week before that he was hitting 342. In a season where 330 is not a normal thing because
it's nowhere near attainable this year.
Where you're doing cartwheels if it's somebody's hitting 290, 295. You're like, holy cow, this guy's having a great season.
Yeah. So I mean that was nice to see, and I thought the game was played pretty well. Looking at the box score of a Major League Baseball All-Star game is just mind-boggling because there's so many people getting in the game. I think almost everybody played, right? With the exception of maybe one or two pitchers.
I believe so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So, but I mean, it was. I will tell you one thing that I just absolutely thought was disgusting last night.
What was that?
The uniforms.
Yeah, they were a little kind of bizarre looking together.
Yeah.
They looked okay separately, but together on the field, they looked like they didn't talk to each other. Like, hey, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, they were kind of polar opposites, right?
Mm-hmm.
One was I liked the cut of the AL uniforms. They looked casual, especially the pants. The longer pants.
I liked them. The color was a little off.
The pants were like I think they used Cavaricci's back from the late '80s.
Yeah, it was right. It was. They looked like these guys were out like heading out to the club, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, next year they're all going to play. They're all going to play with bell bottoms on.
And I've always been kind of a fan of the high socks, but I thought these were pretty slick looking. Yeah. But then those dark colors and then contrasted with, it took me an inning and a half to figure out what was going on with the National League. I thought everyone was on Washington.
Yeah.
Because the first guy
I didn't love the National League uniforms.
And then I went, that's the team they play for is that little vertical stripe, which is
the big red, the three letters or whatever for the town and the team, and the
weird.
logo kind of got lost in it. I would have put if you're going to do that, I'd put the logo somewhere else.
It looked
like
on the right side
or something.
It looked like a futuristic prison uniform or something.
It looked like a
janitor's uniform,
like a knockoff jersey that you'd get from some foreign country for like $4.
Or Canal
like a fish, like
one of those. Something somebody made up and they're selling them on Canal Street.
Dodger alternate.
Yeah. This used to be one. Trust us, it's good. Buy it. Only $20.
Right. Well, you can also get it like at 40th and 9th as you head into Port Authority. They're in like these little plastic sleeves, and they're like that thin.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's perfect.
If you put them on too hard, you're gonna rip them. Yeah. Only $20. Only $20.
There's like the buttons don't even open. They're just like glued on.
Yeah,
but they definitely look
perfect. $4, you got to
stitch together and they stitch on the buttons.
Christmas is coming up, and I got cousins I'm going to see this year that I don't really care for.
Buy a whole slew of them and send them on.
I'll take 5.
That's right.
Here's a jet. The giveaways at City Field on like Friday nights or whatever for somebody. It's got like some yogurt, Dan and Yogurt or a patch on the side because that's a sponsor for the jersey.
Yeah, right. The Dan and Yogurt Mets. What did we think of the home run derby format?
I mean, I picked Pete to win it, and he just came out of the gate. Yeah, I mean,
it was insane.
He's the number one performing home run derby guy in the last 3 years.
It's crazy. You know,
I mean, he's
What did you think?
he has won every single home run derby since he's come into the major leagues.
Well, there's only been 2.
What did you think of the format on the television?
The what?
Format. The way it looked.
It was a little
TV.
odd. It was a little
yeah,
odd.
I was watching it at a restaurant, so I was watching it with the sound off, and
probably on a pretty big screen.
On a big screen, and
the bigger the screen, the better.
You know,
I think with that.
And I think they had to do it that way because there were some guys who, they had at least one, if not 1.5. They had 1.5 balls in the air.
He's got 1.5 balls in the air
when when the next pitch was coming, and I think that's what Alonso did better than anybody else. Is his timing.
Yep.
And the location of his pitches,
it was
were really good.
He was getting meatball after meatball after meatball.
He was getting
the exact same spot.
Coors Field is a dream for a righty like that. Yeah. I mean that left field. There's still dents in left center field from these guys. It seemed like the right-handers seemed to have a better, show of it.
Sure.
And that who knows. And I think he just understood the pace of it a little better than most of the other guys. Because Trevor Story got out of the gate pretty well, but then in the second round, he just I could tell even at the end of his first round, even though he plays and lives here in Denver, that he looked exhausted, and Alonso just looked like
he could have gone another 3 rounds if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I was thinking about. I think they said it was like 85 degrees.
Mm-hmm. But it's dry heat, right?
Yeah, but it's still hot.
It was a nice night. I mean,
it was thin air, and I'm like, these guys must have been, especially
Let me do a translation for you. 85 in Denver is like the equivalent of 73 on the one day in Queens when it's not 89% humidity.
Right, gotcha.
So that's the equivalent.
So nice. Gotcha.
But those guys were sweating.
Shohei Ohtani looked like he was exhausted halfway through his first round.
Yeah, that first round was insane.
And you know what?
I wonder if he would have pitched more than 1 inning.
No,
if he hadn't had triple overtime.
Nobody pitched more than 1 inning, did they?
Yeah, no.
I thought so. One. Oh, maybe.
The American League manager made made one of the best decisions ever, and that's not bringing in Aroldis Chapman in the 9th inning.
I wanted to see him.
We'll get to that.
Of course, you did.
Put a pin in that. We'll get to that in a second. I'll bring up something to that. But Pete Alonso, though, 35 home runs in the first round. That's a single round record.
Well, I mean, the altitude, no humidor, the left center porch, and of course,
he brought his humidor with him though, but there was only cigars in it. So.
That's right. But I mean, it was tailor made for somebody like him. I mean,
I did think it was strange though. He was, inside and then, hitting inside, not outside, watching the rest of the festivities.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was going about this in a very professional way.
Sure.
Although he was having fun with it. So
I was going to say, was there actual music on, or was he just? Did he have like
I think there was
earfobs in or earbuds in?
I think there was music playing, but but they showed him inside, and he was warming up, and he was zen, against the wall. I was like, oh, this guy's not kidding around.
Zen against the wall.
Win this thing. He was zenning against
the wall.
wall.
That's the title of his book about the home run derby. Zen.
Yeah, that's great. They're great. Their new album's great. Zen Against the Wall.
Zen Against the Wall, right? They do a couple Rage Against the Machine covers.
Now, did anyone watch any of the All-Star Celebrity Softball game?
I accidentally saw like 3 seconds of it.
I accidentally saw like 3 seconds on an Instagram video.
No, I was changing the channels and I saw, I don't know, I couldn't tell who it was, but I was like, oh, okay. And I had the sound off, luckily, because had I not had the sound on, I might have thrown my TV through the outside.
I did see CeCe Sabathia was a catcher.
Who was the manager or the loudmouth idiot that was for the captain of one team? Or who
no idea.
I didn't.
Who the hell was that?
No idea. Yeah. The only thing that I saw that was good, I watched flipping back and forth for a couple innings. It was train wreck good.
I mean, if you want me to watch that, then you need to start Katy Perry on between second and third and run down. And then I'll watch it.
Here's the thing: they had I was watching it during commercial breaks of whatever else I was watching. So Jenny Finch was there, of course. So.
How about David Hasselhoff?
Quite no, but she's one of the best softball players certainly this
okay,
country ever produced, as well as a very attractive young lady, and she was lobbing it over, and then I don't know whatever some guy from the new Archie show or something, some young stud had gotten up and I guess he was trash talking, and he went into the windmill when Cece was behind the plate, and she struck him out in 3 pitches.
3 pitches, yeah. That's what I saw. That's what I saw on Instagram.
That was the pretty much, and then after that, I think I turned it off shortly thereafter. That was probably the best moment of the whole thing. She's just like, "You're gonna talk trash, you punk. Here we go, zip, zip, zip." So
and
that
Cece caught them all too.
Yeah, but the rest of it was whatever.
Much better than he used to catch grounders. I don't know. I was like, I'll just let it go. Please, just let it go. Just let it go.
But I don't know what
Louis Tiant looked like. Willie Randolph.
Right.
I don't think it was the same people that came up with that idea who had anything to do with programming of the All-Star half week, let's call it, because that was just an absolute mess. That softball game was an absolute mess.
I didn't watch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Like I said, it was kind of train wreck good, but I mean,
this past Sunday was probably like the biggest Saturday and Sunday. It was probably like the biggest international sports day. I mean, I woke up at like 6:30 to start watching sports. I didn't think I would be sitting there, and it was fantastic. Other than the Yankees blowing a 7-run lead in the 9th, which it was a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
stuff going on.
Well, I mean, look, we're looking at history in the making in the form of Novak Djokovic, and he came out like he normally does, a little slow, and lost the first set, and then was just a machine. And the soccer or football game on Saturday was a great game. Messi winning his first international championship, and then of course Italy and England going to penalty kicks, and quite a few saves or shall we call them misses during the penalty kick.
There was the quality of some of those kicks was a bit shoddy.
Yeah, but it was a good Sunday, and we'll resume back to our normal scheduling tonight and see if the Bucks can bounce
and
back.
Even what's her name, Barty, who won the Wimbledon singles, women's singles. That was a pretty entertaining match. And,
she's kind of an interesting story as well, and I think has a lot of times we see these, especially with the women. It seems like these people jump out onto the scene, especially in one of these major tournaments where the exposure is so high, and they're very young, and it's really a question of how do they handle the pressure. But she put on a hell of a performance, and it was a very convincing win.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not her first major, I believe, but this was the one she really wanted. And of course, interesting the contrast between her or someone like her and Novak, Djokovic, who's is he ever going to get the love that others have gotten?
The Wimbledon crowd has certainly warmed up to him, and look, Peretti or whoever the Italian guy was, he certainly. There's always going to be an equal love for tennis players at Wimbledon. I don't understand the dislike that some people have for him.
There's a couple of incidents, a couple of things he's done, which I thought were particularly heinous, but it was enough to sort of solidify. I mean, it's right. It's at this point, you still have a big three. Right, Nadal and Federer are still.
Well, I mean, look, the older tennis crowd, you can't deny what Roger Federer is. This sort of classically, good looking. He's like, if you were to chisel a tennis guy into a statue, it'd probably look like Roger Federer.
Right.
And he is, he's a class act and a great player. And Nadal is too. Nadal, to me personally, is very annoying to watch, and I've enjoyed the rivalry between him and Djokovic, because I just like Novak's game. I think he's a hell of a player, and I do sort of think in some ways he's the underdog. Well, it's a little different. There was a little bit of apathy with Pete Sampras, where it's just like, yeah, it's Pete Sampras. You know, he was sort of like the Tim,
exciting guy.
He was like the Tim Duncan of tennis. You know, maybe the best ever at his particular game, at least at the time, but not really fully loved. And then you had the people like the McEnroes and the Connors, who were a little bit more feisty and not really loved by everybody, but admired in the end by everybody. We have that rivalry now, and my point with Novak is that he's doing this, or has done it, against two great players. Now, granted, he's a little younger than them, and both Federer and Nadal's games are starting to decline just a bit, even though it's amazing how good they are at their age. But it wasn't like he came in and the field parted and there wasn't any top-notch talent.
No.
And I think some of the apathy, or at least rooting against him, especially, is that he is playing a lot against Nadal and Federer, who are beloved. And I get it.
Well, that's the thing. He's not a Johnny come lately at this point, but he hasn't been around quite as long. Right. And it really was Federer or Nadal, right? You had your camps, and people have been in those camps for decades now, it seems. And so it's very hard to sort of dislodge a guy, because and look, Federer, arguably the best who's ever played the game. You could still make that argument, right?
Well, I think any of those three you could argue,
Right. So, and that's very difficult when you've been his fan or you've been Nadal's fan for that many years, and Djokovic comes along. You don't want to say, he's actually better than my favorite guy.
Right.
So did I miss stuff all the way to basketball already?
No,
we're talking tennis. We just figured we'd do tennis while we're waiting for you.
Tennis Joker.
But here's the thing about this year and Novak Djokovic is that he could win, four of the majors. He could do the Grand Slam.
He could win an actual Grand Slam,
and an Olympic gold medal. And I'm not sure that's ever been done before.
That would be interesting.
And so if he wins more of the Grand Slam titles, and is able to maybe build on that number a little bit more, as he should if he stays healthy, and he is a fitness machine in a lot of ways. He's 34. Let's say he's got 34 more really good years in him, and he averages maybe 1 to 2. I mean, he could wind up with 25, 26, 28, maybe more. Grand Slams, and so if he pulls away that much and separates himself by winning those big tournaments, then I think you have to at least put him in the same conversation as the other guys who are going to be.
Yeah, well, and he should be there, and he is there. He's still grudgingly on the part of a lot of people, though, and that's and again, it's a couple of things that. Whatever he did, he had a party when there was COVID, or he went out to a club or something, and then there have been a few comments. Again, nothing that I think is terrible, horrible.
The same things that he's criticized by. If he was in the NBA, he'd be selling more jerseys. It's just, I think a lot of it has to do with the. I'll say it. I think a lot of the tennis crowd is middle-aged women, and middle-aged women don't like looking at Novak Djokovic as much as they do Roger Federer and Nadal. I think that's part of it. I just don't think he has the matinee persona that some of these other guys do.
Which is strange because he is funny and outgoing and warm, but he is just not perceived that way.
Go to Serbia or Eastern Europe, and I think you'll see it different. I mean, that's the other thing, is that we really haven't. Tennis is the diversity in tennis is always, you always run up against a wall, and it's not necessarily an inner city sport. Let's put it that way. No. Either anywhere across the world, and it still has these sort of antiquated rituals around it. I mean, I look at some of the Wimbledon, what's going on at Wimbledon. It's just like, why are we still doing all of this?
Yeah.
Insane.
But
anyway,
congratulations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good matches, good finals.
They were good.
Don't ask me who won the doubles. I have no idea.
Whatchamacallit? Jumping back to baseball before I so unceremoniously got cut off by my wonderful Apple product computer that I'm about ready to throw out the window.
You said that last week.
Well, every time I call up tech support, it gets worse. So.
Listen, I got a nice Inspiron.
4 years.
I got a nice Inspiron 1525. It's been wiped, fresh install the Windows, and you're good to go.
No, I need, unfortunately.
Got 2 cores.
Yeah. I have 4 in this. So.
Well, it's got 2 cores, but 2 hyperthreads each.
It's got 2 cores and 2 buds. Yeah.
All right, on to baseball.
Back to baseball. All right. The home run derby. Congratulations to Pete. I just want to say one more thing on that. You think if he wins it next year, the promoting of it, if he goes in it next year, and I'm sure he will, it's going to be 3 Pete, right? No.
God, let's hope those.
Does Pat Riley have the copyright on that still?
3 Pete, 3 Pete.
Could be a court case.
Could be a little bit, but
just imagine what the promotion people will do with that.
That would be interesting. Really quick, just on the Mets. Taijuan Walker actually went. He did give up that one home run.
Gave up a dinger, yeah.
He gave up a dinger, but they were. He was vouched by a lot of his guys and Luis Rojas and everybody else to go. Obviously, in place of DeGrom, when DeGrom said he wasn't going to go. But I thought, that was a good nod for him.
If every All-Star who goes to the All-Star game and plays in the All-Star game does what they do, then, what's the result? If all the pitchers pitch great, then nobody hits. If all the hitters hit well, then the pitcher, you know what I mean?
Right.
There has to be a balance. There have to be there has to be mistakes made and all that. And
I remember when DeGrom went to his first one, he threw he struck out the side with 10 pitches. And I forget who said it, but he walked into the dugout afterwards and says you couldn't do it in 9. He couldn't. So, threw 1 ball. But in any
I don't think there was anyone there. Who was the one guy for the AL who was walking the house? Bradish, Banish, Bootish. I forget his name.
Who knows?
Right.
I also feel like we might not see half these All-Stars again.
He
just
kind of had a bad
baseball
day.
goes.
Right.
I'm kind of curious as to how Aroldis Chapman got into the All-Star game.
He was dominant up until 2 weeks ago.
Well, it was as soon as he got the bid, then he shut down. He wasn't screwing up as bad as he's been in the last couple of weeks, but he still
did
was.
what he came to did, and he's like, I don't have to pitch well anymore. I'm an All-Star.
Exactly. I'm an All-Star, exactly. There you go.
I'll start serving it up now.
But on that note, Edwin Diaz was, and far be it from me to, stick up for him, but he's been pitching pretty damn good. Last weekend aside, he didn't, nothing for him. He got a snub. So, what are you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Look, Chapman's numbers are always impressive. He's the eye test. I think he can be the most dominant closer in baseball, and then he can be one of the worst closers in the history of the game.
He's certainly the most sweatiest closer.
This is nothing new for him. The inconsistency that he shows is nothing new. He's had it his entire career.
Yeah.
I think he loses focus, and look, obviously he's no longer the closer for the Yankees. When you're looking to turn your season around and you have the opportunity to sweep the Astros in Houston, I think it was in Houston. Maybe it was.
Yeah, it was in Houston.
Yeah. And you turn the ball over to Chad Green. Then look, I think I've said this. The worst thing the Yankees did was re-sign Aroldis Chapman because he doesn't have that clutch gene in him that you need to be a closer for the Yankees. The Yankees have always traditionally had one of the best, if not the best closer in baseball. And it's a big position nowadays because of the fact that, the game, a 2-run, 3-run lead is not secure anymore.
Nope.
And it just seems like he's always walking people. He's always putting himself in a situation instead of just coming in and blowing the doors off the side. But there's not one truly 100% dominant closer in baseball, with the exception of what's his name from who's leading the league in save. It's a relatively new guy on. I'm drawing the blank now. Anyway,
where's that?
It's and relievers are kind of year to year these days. You don't have somebody who for 10 years is a dominant relief pitcher anymore.
No, they have up years and down years, and they go. There's a seesaw
and then they're gone.
To it, yeah.
And then they're gone.
Some of them stick around, but they're definitely up for a couple of years, down for a year or two, and then back up for a year, and then down for 2 years. It's just they're never. There's not a lot of consistency.
Zach Britton was arguably the best closer in baseball before the Yankees signed him, and injuries have hurt him. But who knows what he's going to be when he comes back? The Yankees bullpen is kind of a mess right now, and they're overworked. And so Chad Green's arm is going to fall off, and Altuve literally golfed one out.
Yeah,
he's the new Big Papi. He's the best clutch. He's the best clutch hitter in baseball.
Big Papi and Little Papi.
And
that
wasn't an easy pitch to hit. I mean, it was a ball. It was a foot out of the strike zone.
Yeah.
He just went.
He went down and got it.
He stood up tall and got it.
He went up and got it. Yeah,
he went up and got it down an inch off the ground. That sort of sums up the Yankees season. They just, because before that they had 2 incredible pitching performances. I think I texted John this. I thought the pitching performance by Garrett Cole was the best pitching performance of the year.
It was, and the fact that he went the whole all the way, and it just
that's sort of shut down some of his.
What did you
some
say?
Of his doubters.
He said, Boone said he's going to take him out. He said, no.
Well, I think you asked me, do you think Boone takes him out? And I go, well, analytics would say yes, but actually understanding baseball, no.
No, absolutely not. You don't take him out of
there. I'll take my chances with Garrett Cole at 120 pitches, pitching the 9th inning, then turning the ball over to anybody in the Yankees bullpen right now.
Especially
in a one-run game. In a one-run game against the Houston Astros, who are maybe the best offensive team in baseball.
Yeah. And speaking of offense in baseball, the Mets played Pittsburgh 7 games in a row with the All-Star break in the middle, 4 last week in Citi Field. They won 2 and lost 2.
They need to be winning these games.
And it's they should have swept them. I mean, it was all it's offense though.
It's baseball.
It's not even the defense. It's not even the pitching or anything like that.
And the Mets pitching has been very good. I mean, it's
been very good.
You got to be incredibly happy with the first half of the season for the Mets pitching.
I don't even look at the first game on Saturday that they lost.
Yeah.
Obviously they killed them on Friday, 13-4. But
you can't carry any of those runs over.
No, but I wish they could. But I look at Sunday's game. Right, it was a bullpen game, which I hate to begin with. That's just bring up a starter. Bring somebody up and let them start the damn game. This is just stupid. But they lost 5-6. They were winning. They scored 5 runs in the first inning. And against Pittsburgh, they couldn't score another run for 8 innings. Something's wrong here. If your offense
even Pittsburgh
one run against the Pirates in 8 innings.
Even Pittsburgh and Arizona, they still have 20, 27, 28, 32 wins.
Yeah.
So it's
it's not even. The question isn't even
series. They need to win 3
Yeah,
or 4.
I'd be more concerned that you were giving up 6 runs to Pittsburgh, a couple of them late. 5 runs should be enough for you to win, whether you get them in the first inning or whether you get them
spread out. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and giving up the 6 runs, and 2 of them, it was 5-4 going into the 9th.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Again, the bullpen gave up the tying and the winning run in the 9th, and they couldn't get anybody across in the bottom of the 9th, But
I agree with your point. They should have been able to score more than
against
5.
Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh does not have the best pitching in the world. To not be able to scratch, huh?
What?
Does not have the best.
They don't.
Pitching. They don't. No, they don't. No.
They
you weren't
don't?
aware of this?
Bert Blyleven's not
You
pitching.
you weren't aware of
They're
this?
34 and 56. I thought that meant for sure they had the best pitching in the
Oh
world.
no, you're
But
right.
they've
you're
still
right.
won 34 games.
They did.
That's
win
my
34.
point.
This is true. But yeah, the fact that they couldn't scratch one more run across the plate.
Listen,
in
they're
8 innings.
6 games under 500 at home.
There you
How
go.
about that?
I will actually be at the game on Saturday.
Pittsburgh is that miserable on the road, but whatever.
I mean, Pittsburgh's
as long as you-
minus 122.
Right.
Yeah, as
They're
long as you're
minor-
learning something from those experiences, then you can have one of those occasionally. But
The
if
Mets
you
are
want to
plus-
continue, you're 3.5 up on Philly, and the games have almost evened out, right?
Mhm.
Mets have 87, Philly's got 88, Atlanta's got 89. So they're still a couple games behind in the games played column, so to speak. But
I mean, the Mets are the 5th best team in the National League right now.
There you go.
just look, do what you're doing, win series. That's it.
We got a comment.
Don't be worried about dominating. Just
No, you're right. Just win the series.
Win series.
But they should have taken 3 out of 4.
I
Not swept
agree.
them. They
I
should have
agree.
split with Pittsburgh at home, and they're
I
home, and they're a very dominant home team, the Mets. So, and they've been. Eric Cohen just commented. He says the offense will start to come back now that they're getting healthy and Lindor's waking up. I think they're in a great position. I agree. I agree, Eric. I do agree. But that makes me uneasy, the fact that they couldn't get one more run across the plate in those 8 innings. But hey, you know what? Turn the page. Go to next week. Go to this coming weekend, and we'll see what happens.
There's half a season left. Get into the playoffs. That's all I care about.
That's it.
Get into the playoffs. That's it.
Right.
And then
exactly.
then do what you're going to do. I don't care if you dominate. I don't care if you squeak in. Just get in.
I mean, they're also in a situation where the Mets might win 88 games, 89 games, maybe 90 if they're lucky, and they probably will. If they continue on that pace, they'll probably win their division. So that gets them in.
It does. It does, though.
I mean, that's what they're on pace to do. They're on pace to win around 88 games, which, if that wins the division by 5 games, then so be it.
I think it will. I think at this rate, the way the other teams in the division are playing, unless somebody heats up dramatically, I think 88 to 92 wins are going to win the division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if the Mets get to 92 wins, then that means they're having a significantly better second half of the season than they had in the first half.
Right.
So we'll see.
Eric Cohen just said 162-game season. He'd be more worried if Randolph was managing.
I don't understand what that means, but okay.
He's busting Willie Randolph's chops is what he's doing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
In any event.
Willie Randolph didn't hear you. His championship rings are in his ears.
In any event. So Bauer's administrative leave was extended to July 27th.
Administrative leave.
Administrative leave, while the Pasadena PD looks into things. That's what they're looking into things. Into texts and whatever else they're looking into. So,
Yeah, whatever.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it because it gives him. I don't want to waste time. I'd rather talk about something. The Kansas City Royals, bottom 3 batters in the lineup than Trevor Bauer.
There you go. Well, why don't we talk about our quiz for tonight?
All right.
Why don't we talk about quiz tonight? This one is for both of you. It's the same thing for both of you.
All right.
All right. You're the manager. These players are in their prime. You need to keep 3, drop 3. All right? All outfielders. Okay? Not in specific positions, just outfielders. All right? Keep 3, drop 3. Ready? Who wants to go first?
You need a graphic for this, so I don't have to remember 6 names.
This is true. This is true.
I always go first, so
you always go first. So you could jot them down if you want. But
go for it.
Mike Trout, Manny Ramirez, Carlos Beltran, Robin Yount, Reggie Jackson, and the
Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle.
I got to keep 3.
Mick Jagger. Keep 3, drop 3. Mike Trout, Manny Ramirez, Carlos Beltran, Robin Yount, Reggie Jackson, Mickey Mantle. Keep 3, drop 3.
I'll take Trout.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Manny.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put Beltran on the list.
Your favorite?
I mean, your first two from that list is Trout and Manny.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. Why don't you take Lee Mazzilli?
He's
not on the list.
He's not on the list, right? Or he would. Yeah.
I guess I'll take Mantle.
And Mantle. All right.
Mantle, Trout, Jackson.
Mantle, Trout, Jackson?
Yeah.
All right.
Because if I have Trout playing with those other two guys, he might actually win a ring.
There we go.
Yeah, because Manny never won anything.
Manny's great. I just think, you know, I
can bit of a liability defensively, but
yeah, and that's the only reason why I put Trout ahead of him. You know, honestly, I'd be okay with Ramirez, Jackson, and Mantle. I'd be fine with either of them.
So Jackson and Mantle with either Trout or Ramirez.
Mike Trout is sort of the, you know, not personality-wise, but just he's the, you know, Russell Westbrook of baseball. You know, his numbers.
Right. If you want to look at all the different things, right? You go, okay, great numbers, and if I got Manny and I got Reggie, I got to have somebody in the outfield.
Right. Mickey Mantle.
Right. I got to have somebody out there who's not going to start any shit.
Right. Oh yeah. But that'd be a fun outfield. Jesus Christ. I mean, man. Mantle, Jackson, and Ramirez.
Yeah, those guys would never. They'd never make curfew.
Yeah, you would need a parole officer, I think.
Yeah, you'd need a chaperone.
Yeah,
it would be a fun outfield, that's for sure.
Yeah, great interviews, that's for sure. Although Mantle was kind of quiet. You know, I mean he liked to have fun often, but he wasn't.
Well, right. He was
kind of as quotable as Ramirez and Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, he was kind of a shy, kind of a yokel. You know.
There you go.
Great player though.
Yes, he was. All right. So there you go. So Pete picks Trout.
And Robin Yount. Was Robin Yount really an outfielder for most of his career?
He wasn't.
Wasn't he a shortstop?
No, he was in the outfield.
Yeah.
So in any event. Cool. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. So.
You can't go wrong with any of them, though.
You can't. You really can't.
That'd be a good six to have. Just, you know, in today's baseball, you need all six of them because four of them would be hurt for half the season.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get through an entire season with all six of them.
No.
Right. And Yount is kind of like that's the sort of a racism test, right, in that list.
Great player.
Just Yount over, you know, some of the brothers there. Well, you know,
I didn't really think about it that way.
I don't look at it that way either, but I see what
I'm just saying, you know,
where you're going. But
if you went, you know, Trout, Mantle, Yount, you know, people would go, "Oh man, come on, man, Robin Yount." You know,
Robin Yount's the only one who might make Mike Trout seem, you know, less vanilla. Although he did kind of have, he was rocking that good 70s like Hanson haircut before they existed. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Those look.
I'm just saying,
and all six of them by today's standards, you would not have any hesitation of putting them out in the outfield.
No, not one of them would I leave off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you were someone who wanted to pick based on skin tone, Yount would fill out the group for you.
Who would be the third one? Oh, Mantle. Yeah.
Right.
So.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
There you go.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. I thought it wasn't the attention that
you may think of it. I think of it as ringtone. That's what I look at. There's some nice ringtone in that list.
There you go. A little bit. Yeah. All right. Shall we do our top 10?
Top 10. Let's get
top
to it.
10, folks. This week's top 10 is a first in a long time for us. We actually have only 10 on our top 10.
And some of them we have nothing really to say about because, let's face it, we don't really know anything about them.
Yeah. Exactly. And exactly. So anyway, one of them would be almost 200 years old at this point. But
hey, look, it still counts.
It does.
Maybe more so, you know?
Probably, yeah.
If you're winning against Babe Ruth, you know, I don't know.
This is true. All right.
I think it counts.
Our top 10 list this week is top 10 managers in Major League Baseball history. Top 10 managers in Major League Baseball history. All right, we're going to start it off.
That's an interesting question. Hang on before you get to number 10.
Yeah.
Since we only have 10, we have extra time.
I want to get done early tonight.
Does the manager have more effect on the game now, or 80 years ago, 100 years ago?
I think 80 years ago, he had more effect on it.
But way back, right? Had much more effect on it.
I would say that now and 80 years ago are more comparable. I think a manager in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even into the 80s had a lot more impact on the game, because I think the game became a little bit more involved. I think there were a lot more player substitutions and changes going on. And I also think that you started to see lineup cards get shuffled around a little bit more.
Certainly anything pre-DH.
Right.
That was
true.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think back in the day, it was basically like, do we have enough guys to play? Excellent. Get out there. Go get them.
Right.
But, I think there were some of these guys on this list that were part of that first generation of baseball, or maybe, I think their impact was beyond just the day-to-day game management. I think they truly built the game up to what it's become. And a lot of them were just doing things, especially in the form of training and just getting these guys and really advancing the game. So I think they were there doing that. A lot of them were players as well, which isn't always the case these days. But I don't know. I don't really want to make a judgment on today's managers, because maybe there is more to what they're doing than we give them credit for. I think it's harder nowadays to be a manager on a team for a very long time. And I think it's harder to have a consistent, to build any sort of consistent dynasty or anything like that nowadays.
It seems like it's a different.
Yeah.
You've got to manage different things. You've got to manage personalities.
There's much, the
Way
HR,
back
the
in the day, you didn't have, half a dozen prima donnas on your team that you had to get them to all play nice together.
Yeah,
those guys were lucky to be there. Yeah,
the HR department is portion of this job is a lot higher than it used to be.
Yeah, it's a completely different job as it was.
And literally, there are
7 years
things
ago.
lost in translation, which is why I do believe we're going to start to see way more, Spanish-speaking managers coming into baseball. Just because I do think that through the translators and through some of there is a language issue, a literal translation issue at times. We should. The time will tell, but I think they've always had a big impact. Yeah. Maybe more so than you think. Than some of them, and I think some of them get more credit than others. Others are kind of like, they just had a great team. They didn't really have to do much. Well, why does that? Why do we cast aside? I won't say any names because they're probably on this list. But we did that. But we then give that same.
Like he's talking to my number 6.
But we give that credit right back to somebody like a Phil Jackson. Or Pat Riley in basketball.
Right.
I think they do matter. I think it's in all sports. I look at some of these coaches. I look at a coach like Mike Malone of Denver, who I think is a great coach, and I think who is able to communicate with his team pretty well and get them to buy into a philosophy and a system. Yep. I look at somebody like the Bucks coach, and I'm like, well, this is a day-to-day sort of, who knows what this team is. So I do think if you're winning games and you're doing it, you got to give credit to these guys. So look, and maybe we don't give credit to some of the guys who haven't won as much, but who have won despite the odds, like a Billy Beane or some of the guys who have, let's just face it, any of the managers in the last 30 years for the Oakland A's.
Right. Yeah. Very true. Very true. All right. Well, on that note, why don't we find out who our top 10 are? All right. Let's start with number 10. Number 10 is, we're going all the way back to a long time ago. It's over 100 years ago, and it's Mr. Miller Huggins. Miller James Huggins. When he
Miller Huggins for all your real estate needs.
There you go. He was a second baseman, and his career batting average was .265, so that was good. He hit 9 home runs over his career, but he played for 15 years or so. But he managed the Cardinals from 1913 to 1917, and he managed the Yankees from 1918 to 1929. I won 6 pennants and 3 World Series with the Yankees. 3 World Series were in 23, 27, and 28, of course. He's a Monument Park honoree. Of course, he's in Cooperstown, having been elected by the Veterans Committee in 1964. And, he's...
Didn't he have like
Bill
a
Huggins.
really high winning percentage, too, I think, right?
Well, his winning percentage was a little above half. It was 555. But he won. His managerial record was 1,413 wins to 1,100.
555 is high on this list.
That's respectable, yeah.
It is very.
And he was played by that guy who played the cop on Hill Street Blues in some movie about the Babe, I think it was.
Oh,
Gotcha. I think so. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Dennis Franz?
No, the guy who played the psycho guy who used to bark.
I don't know. Miller Huggins, number
Blues.
10.
There you go. That's my contribution.
Number 10, Miller.
Number
Huggins.
9.
There we go. Coming to number 9 is Mr. Connie Mack. Cornelius McGillicuddy was his actual name. Cornelius McGillicuddy, better known as Connie Mack. He also was a player from 1886 through 1896 for the Washington Nationals, Buffalo Bisons, and the Pirates. But he managed the Pirates from 1894 through 1896. He was player manager for those years. And then he went on and managed the Philadelphia Athletics for 50 years. 1901 through 1950. He won 5 World Series championships with them. 1910, 11, 13, 29, and 30. Most managerial wins, losses, and games managed in Major League history. His winning percentage is only 46, but he managed in over 7,000 games.
Yeah.
3,731 wins and 3,948 losses. Just a crazy stats.
Imagine
he's got like 1,000 more wins than anybody, and
right.
1,500 more losses than anybody.
But imagine that you have such a track record that you could say, yeah, I won 1 World Series every 10 years for 5 decades.
Right.
When was the last World Series?
He won. The last time he won a World Series was 1930. So he managed 20 years after the last time he won a World Series.
Yeah.
Yes. Which isn't, look, by today's standards, it's a bad stretch.
Yeah, it's the Bobby Cox Award.
He won 5 and 20. He won 5 and 20
stretch,
years. Yeah, he won 5 and 20 years. So.
So.
And of course he's in Cooperstown as well. So Cornelius McGillicuddy, Connie Mack, number 9. Let's bring it to number 8. Number 8 is going to be Walter Alston. Walter Emmons Alston, to be exact, nicknamed Smokey. Sometimes known as the Quiet Man, also as well. Right. Played 1 year for the Cardinals in 1936, but he managed the Brooklyn and L.A. Dodgers from 54 through 76. Won 4 World Series championships with him: 55, 59, 63, and 65. As Los Angeles Dodgers number 24 is retired. Of course, he's in Cooperstown as well. Walter Alston.
Battled won some World Series against some good teams in the American League. That's for sure.
He's got his winning percentage is 558, so he notched by 3/100ths of three points, if you want to call it.
He was not on my radar. I mean, I'd heard of him, but I didn't know much about him. But I mean, he obviously that's the heart of baseball. Those are some great baseball years.
Sure.
I mean, he was winning championships during the golden years of baseball. So,
very true. Very true.
I think underrated, maybe unsung, underappreciated, underrepresented. I don't know.
Underknown.
Underknown. Less known. Yeah, today anyway.
Yeah. Did Lasorda become the manager for the Dodgers after Alston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He was succeeded by
talk about a night and day shift there. But
yeah, quiet man to not so quiet man. So there you go. Number 8, Walter Alston.
The Buck Showalter of his time.
There you go. All right. So we move on to Mr. 7.
Mr. 7.
This week's Mr. 7.
This week's Mr. 7 is brought to you by 7 and 7.
The drink for all ages.
Try 7 and 7 with a little 7-Up.
You can get both of those at 7-Eleven.
Anyway, number 7 tonight is Bobby Cox. Robert Joe Cox, to be exact. He played for the Yankees for 2 years in 68 and 69, but he was a manager from 78 to 81 with the Braves. 82 to 85 with the Blue Jays, and then back to the Braves for 20 years, 21 actually.
Yeah, I forget about that stint with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, from 90 to 2010 was the Braves manager when they were winning. Back in the 90s, he was the man. His winning percentage is .556, so he's up there as well. 2,504 wins to 2,001 losses. Two-time World Series champion in 77 with the.
That's playing.
He was no. He wasn't playing. Obviously he was on the Yankees staff.
Oh, okay.
And in 95, of course, with the Braves. Four-time Manager of the Year, 85, 91, 04, and 05. His Braves number 6 is retired. He's in the Braves Hall of Fame. Of course, he's in Cooperstown as well. Bobby Cox, Mr. 7.
The interesting thing about him is that he retired at 55 from managing. Is that can that be right?
No. Okay. He was.
I was going to say. I thought he was like
He was older than that.
He was 69 when he retired.
Okay.
From managing. Yeah.
Maybe that was when he first left the Braves.
Yeah, look, this is the guy who, I mean, as the man in charge, he has one World Series title and obviously a couple of losses, and I don't consider that to be a black mark. We might disqualify other people from this list or kind of put them on the outside. But everything else, such a standard of quality, right?
He had a lot of talent around him. He was a lot of these managers on that list. He made the most of the talent that he had, and I would say he was a guy who was influential in changing the nature of the game. I mean, the way in which he managed that pitching staff on Atlanta did sort of change baseball a little bit.
Yeah. He was, by the way, he was the first base coach. He was Billy Martin's first base coach in 1977.
There you go. He was the one who patted Chris Chambliss on the ass as he ran around first base after winning the pennant.
There you go.
I don't know if that's true, but
I don't know.
But nobody's going to look it up.
Nobody's going to check it. So, and why not? For tonight it is.
That's right. For tonight it is. Bobby Cox.
This week's
Mr. 7.
This week's Mr. 7.
Mr. 7.
Oh, we should do a top 10 sevens.
Top 10 Mr. 7s.
That's not a bad idea.
Maybe another
all
few,
coming to number 7.
Maybe another few months. Maybe
when
we get to a year.
When we have
a whole year of number
September.
sevens.
It'll be September, so we can do a whole year of Mr. 7s.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be doing it next July?
Well, we could do that too.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on when you're. Well, if we start it now, we
7/7
2007. That's
2027.
We have to wait.
Pencil it in, folks.
Pencil in. 6 years from now, we'll be doing this. Yeah, 7722. There you go. But why not? Anyway, Bobby Cox, number 7. Moving on to number 6 is Sparky Anderson.
The spark plug.
George Lee Anderson, Sparky nickname, obviously. He played 1 year for the Phillies in 1959, but he managed the Reds from 70 to 78, and then the Tigers from 79 to 95. And he was also a coach with the Padres for 1 year in 69. Won 3 World Series championships, 75, 76, and 84. Obviously 75 and 76 with the Reds and 84 with the Tigers. Two-time Manager of the Year, 84 and 87. His Cincinnati Reds number 10 is retired. His Detroit Tigers number 11 is retired. He's in the Reds Hall of Fame. He is in Cooperstown, of course. His managerial winning percentage is .545. Dipped a little bit there, but from the others, but only by
he probably has the largest gap year-wise between World Series championships as a manager. Almost 20 years, right?
10. I went 75, 76, and 84.
Oh, 84.
84.
Yeah,
84. So there you go.
Yeah, Sparky. Yeah, I did it in 2 different leagues, and I think the 84 Tigers are one of the great baseball stories.
Sure, absolutely.
I was kind of too. I don't know why. I don't really remember those big red teams. So I never place him as the manager of the team. I mean, I know he was, but I always think of him as sitting there in that Tiger uniform.
Right. At the age we were at then, we were focusing on Johnny Bench and
we were like
it tells you about the players on right. Those were power teams, right?
Yeah.
You could make an argument, for one of the best teams ever. Certainly,
well, back-to-back World Series championships.
Sure. So, and you had a guy like Sparky who certainly had his personality, but he was not the first guy you think of when you think of the Reds. You think of some of the players there.
Sure, absolutely. There you go. Number 6. George Lee Sparky Anderson. All right. That brings us to number 5. We're in the top 5 now. Number 5 is Tony La Russa. Still going at it. Still kicking in the managing realms. Anthony La Russa Jr. to be exact.
I feel like he's been managing ever since I've been alive.
Pretty much. He played for the A's in 63,
Of course,
Kansas City, and then 68 through 71 in Oakland. Played for the Braves in 71 and the Cubs in 73. But managing-wise, he was the White Sox manager from 79 to 86, the A's manager from 86 to 95, the Cardinals manager from 96 to 2011, and the White Sox manager for the last for this year. So far this year. He was also a coach of the White Sox in 78 and 79.
He was out of coaching for a while.
He was out of coaching for 10 years, yeah.
Mm.
3-time World Series champion in 89 with the A's, and then 06 and 11 with the Cardinals. Of course, I always say he shouldn't have won it in 06, but that's Carlos Beltran's fault. Anyway, 4-time Manager of the Year. I'm never going to let that go.
His team won 4 games.
60 years from now, I'm still going to be saying that.
Yeah.
I'll be 120 years old almost.
That and just going nuts about
damn Beltran.
Offensive holding calls against the Giants as they trailed 34-6. If it wasn't for the refs, they'd be winning this game.
It'd be 34-17 right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, 4-time Manager of the Year, 83, 88, 92, and 02. His Cardinals number 10's retired. He's in the Athletics Hall of Fame and the Cardinals Hall of Fame, and of course he is in Cooperstown as well. So is this the first time that's happened? A manager
Probably.
that's in Cooperstown is managing again? It's got to be, right?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
I would imagine.
Much noise when he was announced. Like, La Russa, come on. He's a dinosaur, blah, blah, blah.
Does he know he's coaching the White Sox?
Well, that's the real question. But who's in first in that division?
That would be the
that'd be the White Sox.
White Sox, yeah.
By 8 games.
I'll take Tony La Russa right now over just about anybody coaching.
Absolutely. So number 5 tonight, Anthony Tony La Russa. There you go. Not to be confused with Daniel LaRusso. Tony La Russa.
Yeah, La Russa, he never won anything. Well, he won the
All Valley Championship.
He won the All Valley Championship, but
please.
Never won a division.
No,
exactly.
Let's not go there.
All right. So that brings us to number 4.
You don't want to do a break. You don't want to do a breakdown of how Karate Kid is a modern day parable about.
No, I don't. I'm sick of the hype.
Story
of the
news immigrants in this country.
No.
Gotta love it. All right.
Brings us to number 4.
Well, you see, the La Russo family, they represent the quintessential.
Tony La Russa.
The La Russa family, yeah.
I as a kid, I wanted the other guy to just knock him out, just end it, kill him.
There's a really funny video breakdown of the movie where they basically paint Daniel LaRusso as like the biggest jackwad in the business. He's a bully. He makes fun of people. He rubs it in people's faces, etc., etc. The whole goes through the whole movie and shows every point where, like, basically saying what you're saying, what we all kind of thought. He deserves to get his ass kicked.
Yeah,
and he should have, because there's no way he would have won.
But it was really funny. They're like,
Elizabeth Shue was in that, right?
Instead of taking his victory and going home, he continues to taunt the rival and blah blah blah. He relies on the protection of others, and he's like, just it paints him as this total jackass.
He was a systems guy. It was
a systems karate.
It was all Mr. Miyagi.
It was all the Miyagi-Do karate was a systems dojo, totally.
Yeah,
but,
system karate guy.
There you go. All right,
there we go.
Moving back onto the top 10 list. Number 4 tonight is Mr. Joseph Paul Torre. Joe Torre, folks. Currently the he's the baseball guy. He's a special assistant to the commissioner of baseball since last year. Anyway, he played for the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves 60 through 68. Played for the Cardinals from 69 to 74, and then the last 3 years of his playing career, he was played for the New York Mets. Yes, he did.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and then he became the manager of the Mets immediately. Well, actually, he was managing the Mets while he was playing for the Mets, and then just became the manager in 77 through 4 years, 77 to 81, in which they, I believe the New York media referred to him as Clueless Joe.
Those are golden years.
Golden years for him. But then he found his way. Managed the Braves from 82 to 84, the Cardinals from 90 to 95, of course, the Yankees from 96 to 07, and the Dodgers from 08 to 2010. 9-time All-Star playing. So got to mention those highlights. He was a 9-time All-Star. 4-time World Series champion, obviously, 96 and 98, 99, and 2000. He
should have been 5.
Yeah, well, it could have been.
Beltran.
No, it wasn't Beltran. It was somebody else in Arizona.
Yeah.
But, we'll leave it at that.
Well, you can't curse out Mariano.
No, well, or can you?
They can't.
For the one time he screwed up,
I hold it against him.
that is harsh. That would be a real typical Yankee fan move.
Yep.
Yeah, Mariano was great, but
Except
fucked up in Arizona. So otherwise, Torrey would have been third on the podcast list.
I got to throw this up. Eric Cohn just said, no, not Joe Torre. And he said, no, any of us could have managed that team.
That's not true.
So,
That's just
Torrey
not
was
true.
the quintessential systems manager, but
whatever. Of course. Systems manager.
He won all his World Series in one little, he had a great team. A monkey could have managed that team.
There you go. He's a manager of the 2-time manager of the year, American League manager of the year, 96 and 98. His Yankees number 6 is retired. He's on the Cardinals Hall of Fame. He's in Monument. He's a Monument Park honoree. Of course, he is in Cooperstown as well. His winning percentage a little lower than the other guys, .538, 2,326 wins.
Well, he coached the Mets for 6 years.
Oh, there you go. Four.
That puts it about.
That
puts it at 200 when you get done with that.
He started in a hole. He started with a 360 winning percentage. The fact that he's above 500 is miraculous.
Yeah. He went 800 for the rest of his career just to get to 5 and change.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, he went here. He went 49 and 68 in his first season with the Mets. This is with the Mets, and that's after he started managing. The team went 64 and 98 overall, and then next 2 seasons he went 66 and 96 and 63 and 99.
Yeah, so maybe even worse than what I just projected.
They finished in 80. They finished 67 and 95.
That's Diamondbacks type numbers.
That is bad.
Yeah, so what? You know what? I mean, let's put it this way. That's not all on Torrey. They had some shitty players back then.
No.
Yeah, I mean he was a player manager, so that's how much the Mets were investing in their future. It was just like, yeah, you'll do. Go get him.
Yeah, why not? Go get him, Joe. There
Go get him.
Number 4, Joe Torre. And we move on to number 3. Number 3 is another Mets manager, the first Mets manager, and his last managing gig as well, folks. It would be none other than Mr. Charles Dillon Casey Stengel.
Who did he manage in between the Mets?
In between the Mets?
Yeah.
But right before the Mets, you mean?
Yeah.
That would be the Yankees.
Oh, the Yankees.
The Yankees. Yes, the Yankees. He
Again, anybody could. I mean, I would make more of an argument that that anybody could have won with this. The teams that Casey Stengel coached a lot more than Joe Torre.
No, I think that's true. Actually,
in
the land of caricature, that is a true statement. Yes.
He as a player, he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers from 2000 just last year.
Yeah.
19.
He was the only one playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But, he had a good year.
Exactly. 19.
First base, Bugs Bunny. Second base, Bugs Bunny. Third base, Casey Stengel. Shortstop.
Exactly.
Kept waiting for the other team to show up.
The Old Professor. That's his nickname. He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers 1912 to 1917. Played for the Pirates for a couple years after that. Went to the Phillies for a couple of years, went to the Giants for a few years, and finished up with the Braves for a couple of years in 1925 finished. So had a 14-year playing career, but started managing the Brooklyn Dodgers in 34, managed for 3 years, went to the Boston Braves for 6 years, 38 to 43. Managed the Yankees for 12 seasons, 49 to 60. Those were some pretty decent
those are some decent rosters, right?
Yeah, a couple of good
guys in there.
Maybe
a couple of guys a little better than Scott Brocious.
Exactly. And then, of course, he finished his career as the initial skipper of the New York Mets from 62 to 1965. He was also a coach for the Dodgers earlier on before he was before the first couple years before he was a manager of them. 9-time World Series champion. 9-time. Two-time World Series champion. One with the Phillies and one with the Giants. Actually, both with the Giants. I'm sorry. They were both with the Giants. And then, whatchamacallit, 7-time World Series champion with the Yankees. 1949, 50, 51, 52, and 53. 5 years in a row. And then 56 and 58. His Yankees number 37 is retired. His New York Mets number 37 is retired. He's a Monument Park honoree. He's in the New York Mets Hall of Fame. He's on the Major League Baseball all-time team. Of course, he's in Cooperstown as well. His winning percentage is actually the lowest so far, 508. 1905 wins and 1842 losses.
Again, he coached the Mets.
There you go. But the Mets won 40 games their initial season. The Mets won 40 games.
He was at 640 before he decided to coach the Mets.
There you go. But in any event,
it's like digging a flower garden with a backhoe.
There you go.
It makes a big hole.
In any event, and he is, and this is the he's the only manager, if you will, or person, I should say, player or manager, to be involved with every New York baseball team that there was, with the Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Giants, New York Yankees, and New York Mets. So there you go.
And I think, to more casual thought on this topic of this list, you think, Casey Stengel's probably going to be number 1 on this list, but the fact that he's number 3 is kind of amazing in some way. But yeah, he was the original coach,
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. Charles Dillon Casey Stengel.
That's probably number 1 as far as entertainment value.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even on this list. I
get you.
Compare him and Joe Torre.
Yeah,
who had a wicked sense of humor, but he was
very dry.
Exactly, yeah, not exactly the most.
Well, Casey Stengel had to be funny when there was no audio. It was just the talkies. So
exactly.
Stengel is funny. He wasn't even trying to be.
No.
And even funnier when he was.
He kind of was, a caricature of coaches in some ways. Yeah, but he's Casey Stengel.
It's Casey Stengel, number 3. All right.
The Red Auerbach of
There you go. So moving on to number 2. Tonight's number 2 is Mr. John McGraw, John Joseph McGraw. He played for the Baltimore Orioles of the AA/NL. What is that? Let's see.
Alcoholics Anonymous League.
It's the American Association, and later in the National League. So that wasn't even the Orioles, the current Orioles. And when he was a member of the Orioles in 01 and 02, 1901 and 1902, and that actually was the precursor to the Yankees. The team that was in Baltimore moved up to New York and became.
Yeah, so we're going way back here, folks.
Big back, way back in the time. So, and he played for the Giants for a few years. From 02
he built the first baseball field.
He did with Abner Doubleday too.
That's right.
There you go. But as a manager, he was the manager of the Orioles of the National League in 1899, of the Baltimore Orioles that became the Highlanders, which became the Yankees, in 01 and 02. But then he was the New York Giants manager from 1902 to 1932. That's where it mattered. 3-time World Series champion with them in 05, 21, and 22. His name is honored by the Giants. The San Francisco Giants are an American League. 3 years later, I'm trying to read what it meant, but it didn't say. Sorry, I thought it might have said there. So, but we'll let it go. I'm going to find out what that actually means, but I'll do that in a minute. He's in Cooperstown, of course, having been inducted in 1937 by the Centennial Commission. His winning percentage, highest one so far, 586. 2,763 wins to 1,948 losses. John McGraw, right there.
John McGraw. He's pretty good. Not very well known, but pretty darn good.
Yep. Yes, he was.
And number 2, he's Mr. 2.
He's Mr. 2 tonight. There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to say number 2 because that's.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. And tonight's number 1, that brings us to tonight's number 1, is Mr. Joseph Vincent McCarthy. Joe McCarthy, folks.
Joe McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy.
Of the McCarthy era.
He grew up idolizing Connie Mack, actually.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He
He married Connie Chung.
He did. He coached the Cubs 26-30, the Yankees 31-46, and the Red Sox 48, 49, and 50. 7-time World Series champion, all with the Yankees. 32, and then 36, 37, 38, 39, and then 1941 and 43. He's Monument Park honoree there as well. He's in Cooperstown, having gone in 57 by the Veterans Committee, and his winning percentage is the highest of anybody on this list, 615.
Yeah.
He won 2,125 games, lost only 1,333. So there you go.
Did it a long time.
That's respectable.
That is absolutely respectable.
And that's why he is today's number one.
That's why he's today's number one on our list. Joe McCarthy. Gotta love it. All right. That brings us to, hold on, I got to do this really quick. That brings us to tonight's Old Balls. Old Balls. Harry, why don't you tell us who tonight's Old Balls is?
Tonight's Old Balls is, I don't think there's anybody who just sort of encapsulates the spirit of Old Balls more than Earl Weaver. Earl Sidney Weaver. I don't know. I mean, I just remember watching him as a kid. I just used to like when he would get mad at umpires and get, go through his usual spiel out there and then get thrown out of the game. Having said that, he was also a really great manager. He had a .583 winning percentage. Probably could have been on this list. He stopped coaching, a little sooner than some of these other people did. But he managed 2,540 games, won 1,480. And again, .583 winning percentage. Was a World Series champion with Baltimore on a really good team in 1970. And is one of the best, managers. I mean, he could have very easily, I think, been on this list. He just
won another World Series.
Or coached a little longer even. Because Bobby Cox only had one, but he just was around a little bit longer.
2,500 wins. It's hard to.
But I think, and he became an announcer. He died a few years ago in 2013 at the age of 82. Mm-hmm. But was just in the 70s and 80s. Everybody knew Earl Weaver. I mean, this was an era when the managers, whether it's the Billy Martins or the Tommy Lasordas or the Earl Weavers of the world, the managers were just as big as stars, I think, to the entertainment value of the game than the players were. And he hated small ball. He thought stolen bases, hit and run plays, sacrifice bunts were just wasting time. Pitching defense and a 3-run homer. That's how his style of managing was. And he'd probably be a good fit today.
Right at home today. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, I think the thing with Weaver is if you talk to a lot of the umpires who he was obviously always up in their grill and kicking dirt on them or screaming at them or whatever the case may be, I think they were equally as entertained by him. They just sort of had to throw him out of the game because, well, you're being Earl Weaver.
Right.
Yeah. It's
he was probably one of the first managers who consistently knew he was getting thrown out before he left the dugout because he was going to get thrown out. And not that no one else ever did that, but I think he was a guy who sort of embraced that. Yeah. And there was no you weren't, in other words, if it was egregious enough and you didn't get thrown out, you weren't doing your job.
Right. And I do really think that what Earl Weaver's philosophy on baseball is sort of come around. I mean, it's if you play for one run, that's all you'll get. These are quotes by Weaver. On offense, your most precious possessions are your 27 outs. He claims to never have had a sign for the hit and run, citing that the play makes both the base runner and the hitter vulnerable.
There you go.
And how many hit and runs do we see these days? None. I mean, that
doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's he was kind of the OG analytics guy. Yeah. He made extensive use of statistics to create matchups, which you know, he made some moves that didn't necessarily make sense if you're just looking at who he put in front of who, but he was really using those analytics, and a lot of times they worked.
Yep.
You know, I think if he wasn't in a division,
he got to 4 World Series and 2 lost. Well, lost 3 of them. But,
he lost to the Mets, right?
Lost to the Mets.
He lost to Pittsburgh. He beat Cincinnati.
Lost to Pittsburgh.
Twice. Which was a tough one.
Lost to Pittsburgh in 71.
And then he lost. And then he lost.
He lost
to
2
Pittsburgh.
LCSs to Oakland.
Yeah.
And then he lost to Pittsburgh again, 79, the World Series.
But you know, he was probably had the highest winning percentage of any of the managers in the American League East during his era. And look, that American League East was packed because early on you had the Yankees and the Red Sox, which were borderline dynasties back then, you know, and the Baltimore was always right there.
Yep.
I mean, his winning percentage is really, really, really impressive.
Absolutely.
And you know, he also had a lot of great pitchers on his staff, whether it was, you know, Palmer or Mike Flanagan, or he was a lot more of a intellectual when it came to baseball than I think a lot of people gave him credit for. He was just kind of a rebel. He just did things his own way, and that's why I liked him. I mean, that's why he's memorable. I mean, he was. You wanted to see Earl Weaver in a post-game press conference, you know, because you'd learn something. You'd actually learn something.
Yeah, so there was a real kind of essence of baseball, which was player against player with him. You talk about the matchups that he created, but it really came down to, it was almost like a schoolyard kind of philosophy.
Yeah.
Well, either your guy's going to get the best of my guy or my guy's going to get the best, right? You don't, when you're playing baseball with your friends, you don't hit and run, you know, you don't bunt, right? You get up and swing. You don't play small ball, you don't, maybe you steal some bases or whatever, but generally you have rules, right? You know, no stealing rule or, you know, whatever. And that was kind of it. It was mano a mano with him. And and he was very good at putting those matchups together and giving his players, you know, the edge in that sense. So, but it was very much either your guy's going to get the best of my guy or my guy's going to get the best of your guy. So,
well, and he put guys up. Like I said, he would take a top player out because he knew that this bench player has 20 plate appearances against this pitcher and is hitting 625.
Right.
And so, you would never do that.
But he wouldn't put him in and, try and do some trickery, and then have a bunt or whatever. Put him in, swing away. You've got the numbers, now go.
Yeah, he had no problem taking out one of his best players to put somebody in a clutch situation because the numbers made sense. And so, I mean, it was not as in depth of the analytics as you have today. He's just like, hey, 10 years ago, this guy was 8 for 8 against this guy, so I'm going to put him in.
Yeah. Let the chips fall where they may.
Where they may.
Right. And he had a lot of information in front of him in the dugout. I also feel like in my memory he was like 5'4". I'm sure he was 5'8", 5'9", something like that. But I always felt like he was grabbing onto the chest protector of the umpire to get up in his face.
Pull himself up.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he created kicking dirt.
No,
but he's the guy who made that
an art form
than it is.
Yeah, he made it an art form. I just remember sometimes he would just come out of the dugout and they would throw him out before he even hit,
it's on the way out.
Yeah, just get the hell out of here. I don't have time for this right now.
Everyone knew he was going to. Everyone in the stadium knew he was going to get thrown out before he even got off the top step.
Right. Well, and he held players to a high standard. He didn't play favorites. He didn't, sort of treat the star players with kid gloves. He was a tough guy. He was a fair guy, and he won a lot of baseball games. And I don't know, for somebody with that many games, I'm trying to think of somebody who has a higher winning percentage, who's coached over 2,500 games. There might be somebody, but I don't know of it. So.
Right.
Jimmy, get on that.
Jimmy, get on that. There you
Jimmy,
go.
wake up.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. That's
Earl Weaver. I think again, he's our number 11. Not that the numbers really matter. These are all
Mr. 11.
these are all accomplished baseball managers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go. Earl Weaver, tonight's Old Balls. There you have it. All right. So, good job. Good job. All right. So let's. I'll turn this off.
One more baseball related thing.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
The Field of Dreams game, I guess, is going to take place. White Sox
that's
Yankees in August. I don't know how many they're going to. I don't know if they're going to bring in seating, or there's some question about what they're going to do with the tickets and such. But I suppose it's. I don't know. Whatever. I kind of look at it as like the when they play a hockey game on a pond somewhere in Toronto or whatever,
or downtown Chicago outdoors.
Yeah, they play an outdoor game. It's an interesting novel.
I mean, they're playing it in Iowa, right?
Yeah, it's on the actual Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, yeah, exactly. So now, is Shoeless Joe going to attend, or not?
It would be probably, if they were smart, they would bring anyone who was in that movie that they could, including Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta, yeah, dress Ray Liotta up in a.
But he'd probably fucking scare a bunch of kids and stuff.
Ray Liotta is looking scarier and scarier. Yeah,
they'd be like, "Who is that, Daddy?" He'd be like, "I'm Shoeless Joe."
I'm Shoeless Joe.
He'd be crying.
This is my friend. Do I amuse you? Funny how?
I brought this guy with me. This guy.
Funny how?
Like Joe Pesci with him. He could play that.
Do I amuse you?
Joe Pesci
is Eddie Goodell.
Joe Pesci could definitely play Earl Weaver in the Earl Weaver story.
That's good. That would be great. Could you imagine Joe Pesci as Earl Weaver?
Yeah.
Oh,
somebody really
to do this. We got to get on that. We have to script this. This is going to be great.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
I gotta love it. All right.
Sounds like a security nightmare to me, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, they'll have to really check all those buildings around the Field of Dreams in Iowa.
Well, they're probably going to have to,
look at the corn,
They'll have to
double the
corn
fencing, because what would stop someone from just driving through the corn?
This might if they have this during the Des Moines County Fair, nobody's coming to this, because you just can't beat the corn eating contest.
You can't beat the corn eating contest at Des Moines County Fair. Absolutely, no.
But good. I didn't really even know there was a Field of Dreams in Iowa. But.
I think it would be cool though if they get because they were talking about having a lottery for the tickets to make sure locals get to go, and I could just imagine like a bunch of farmers driving up on their threshers and their tractors.
Where in Iowa is it?
Right in the middle.
Dryersville.
Yeah.
Is that? Who knows?
It's and there's something of a complex around it. I guess I don't know.
It's complex, all right.
Is it? Yeah. So maybe Kevin Costner will show up too. I would imagine. If they're going to do that, why wouldn't he be there, right?
Yeah, I would think they would want to get him, and like I said, anybody. I don't know what Amy Madigan is doing these days.
It's Dubuque County.
James Earl Jones.
It's Dubuque County. It's actually in eastern Iowa, so it's closer.
Close to Illinois.
Yeah,
closer to civilization.
Yeah, so a lot of people fly into Chicago.
There you go. All right. Sounds good. All right, let's switch it to NFL just for a couple of minutes. I got a question for you guys. First of all, have to say this: did you hear the new news on Aaron Rodgers?
He might be staying.
No, the new
he might be going.
Nothing. It's the same. It's
the same.
No.
How many hours has First Take committed to a story that has gone nowhere?
Nowhere in
Aaron
the last 3
Rodgers
months.
has reconfirmed that nothing is different.
He reconfirmed that nothing is different. There are news stories every
AP
friggin' day on Aaron Rodgers.
The AP is
nothing
reporting
changes.
Aaron Rodgers has confirmed that nothing is new, and that has been confirmed by ESPN.
And we have confirmed this. Yes, gotta love it. All right, here's my question for you. I'll ask one of Harry and one of Pete. It's not a quiz by any means, but Giants. We're coming up on. We only got a couple weeks till training camp, so we're going to be starting to get into a little bit more football. Here we go as we get into the training camp.
You can't complain now, Harry, because there's nothing else going on.
Basketball
shortly
done,
there will
hockey
be nothing else
done.
going on.
So, but we'll ramp it up. It's not going to be a lot. And
Actually,
we
you
get
complain
into
all
training
you want.
camps,
It's more fun that way.
preseason games.
A lot
Actually,
going
I do
on.
love it when you complain.
There's
Absolutely.
more going on now.
Right.
Lay it on us.
All right. Who is the best Giant, current, not all time, current? Who is the best Giant not named Saquon Barkley?
I'm not even sure Saquon Barkley is the best.
Well, all right, we'll just leave him out is my point. Who is the best Giant not named Saquon Barkley? Who would you say? And this actually, I get to say, this stems from like an article I read actually, because they actually asked a bunch of the players and coaches who the best Giant was not named Saquon, and they actually had a consensus. So I'll tell you what that was in a minute. But let's see what you say.
Who goes first on this one?
You, because I'm thinking.
I'll say, what's the receiver's name? The free agent guy, Gallman,
Galladay.
Galladay. That's him.
Galladay.
I'll say him
You
because
go
I
Galladay?
don't know the punter's name, so that would be my first pick, but I don't know his name, so I'll say Dwayne
you can go with
Galladay.
Kenny Galladay.
Kenny Galladay. There you go.
Kenny Galladay.
He's a country singer in his former life, right? Tell me that doesn't sound like a country singer's name.
Kenny Galladay.
I don't know because they're
That'd be my pick.
That'd be yours. Okay, gotcha. If you wanted to go with special teams, you can go with Graham Gano too. I mean,
he was. I mean, he.
Oh yeah.
Most valuable Giant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's any. Leonard Williams, maybe.
Yeah, that's where everybody went. That's where everybody went. Everybody said, the coaching staff. I don't think they talked to everybody, but
And what's his
people they
name?
asked
The
consensus was-
linebacker. What's his name? Is the middle linebacker? I would put him up in there too in the top three.
Blake Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blake
Leonard
Martinez
Williams.
is a
Where
good
did he come from?
That would be another team in the
Oh,
same
yeah.
stadium. He just
Yeah.
changed locker rooms. Is what he
Yeah.
did.
Well, and how many years has he been on the Giants now? I mean, that's the thing with a lot of the who's the best Giant. I mean, I guess Leonard Williams is his third year with the Giants.
This will be
This will be his third season, right?
I mean, he's sort of a veteran Giant because he's been on the team for 2 years. I mean, Barkley's been on for now 3, but he's only played 1.
He's only played 1.5 here, 1.25. or something.
So I mean, it's like all right, Leonard Williams. Yeah, he's a veteran. He's been around. He's been around since 2018, 19.
19, yeah. There you go. So Leonard Williams, Blake Martinez, I have to go those two. But
Blake
Kenny
Martinez
Galladay,
is good there.
Kenny Galladay is a good receiver, and he's gonna help them out a lot. Okay.
I mean, career-wise, the best Giant who's had the most career, success is probably Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph.
The Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Kyle
Reindeer.
Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
He's now the punter for the Giants this year.
He's the tight end, punter, and water boy.
Yeah,
for the
he really.
Giants.
Yeah.
He's diverse. So.
He just can't play on Chris. The Giants cannot play
Multitasking.
Christmas Eve games.
Well, unless it's foggy, and then he gets
Right.
to play.
And if it's Christmas Day game, it's got to be a night game because he's got stuff to do.
Right.
Like
He'll still be
Right.
recovering.
where he is.
Yeah,
So.
He'll be tired.
Exactly. So, all right. Let's move it to the Jets. Who is the? We'll start with. We'll start with Pete again on this one, unless Harry wants to go first. Who is the best Jet? And there was no article for this, so I just made it. Who is the best Jet not named Zach Wilson? So, and not that he is, but who is the best Jet not named Zach Wilson? Who would you say?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I think. Yeah.
No, go ahead, because I really don't know.
I think potential-wise, I think Becton might be up there. I think Jamal Adams.
Sure. Becton. If I had to pick, that would be mine. Mine would be Mekhi Becton. That would be mine if I was picking. But
Yeah, I guess so.
who
Sure.
say you?
I mean, their
Becton.
offensive line has a lot of potential.
Quentin Williams is good. He's up there too. Quentin Williams.
Yeah.
But I would say Becton. But you say that, Radio Pete? Becton
Yeah,
too?
that sounds right. Yeah,
Gotcha.
sure.
Why not? What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, Williams again. Another Williams defense. I think he would be maybe my number 2. I don't know. Who's the wide receiver? Jameson.
Crowder.
Crowder, yeah.
He might be number 2. I don't know. Becton. I think Becton, Williams, and Crowder are probably the 3 best players on the Jets.
Probably. We'll see what happens this year. All right. The only other thing I got NFL wise is the new news on Deshaun Watson, which is nothing. Same thing. Nothing.
But boy, has that gone radio silence?
Absolutely. Although there is some rumblings now that the Eagles are actually reinterested in.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Why not?
Well, look, ESPN or somebody had the top 10 quarterback rankings, current quarterbacks in the NFL,
right.
And he was not on that list at all. Now, obviously, I think for obvious reasons,
right?
But aside from his shitty behavior and potential to not maybe play in the next 3 or 4 years, don't you think he's definitely on that list?
If you put that aside, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'd probably top 5, 6, right?
You got to put him.
I mean, I got to put him ahead of Zach. I don't know.
Zach Galifianakis.
Zach Galifianakis. He's definitely ahead of Zach Galifianakis. Not by much, though.
No.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis has
Zeke. I mean, not Zach. Dak. Yeah. God.
Zach Dak Croft, Scott?
Dak Croft.
Dak Croft.
Yeah, he's better than Dak Croft.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's better than Dak. Wasn't that canned ham back in the day? Dak canned ham or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Better than
Dak.
yeah,
that's a product of Finland, I believe.
Finland,
Sticky Dak, isn't that what they're using on base?
Spider Dak.
Spider Dak.
Spider Dak.
That's the NFL equivalent.
Exactly. Yeah. Rub a little of Dak Prescott on your football, and
anyway,
you're good to go. All right. Anyway, so let's. I
have one thing. I don't know if you guys heard this.
Go for it.
Story broke today. I guess Richard Sherman in trouble. Perhaps.
Yeah.
I heard something about that. Yeah,
and
arrested his car or something.
Arrested and booked on charges of burglary, domestic violence, resisting arrest, and malicious mischief. Also being investigated in an alleged hit and run and a DUI. That also happened recently. So the cops are. I didn't really get a chance to read the story because it just popped up.
Yep.
I don't know. He was driving through a construction zone, and I don't know. He beat up somebody in a house or something.
It's a domestic violence charge.
Yeah. Let's see. Domestic violence component results from Mr. Sherman's relationship with the occupants of the residence, not due to him physically assaulting his significant other. The malicious mischief is the result of damage he caused to the door of a residence. Tried to force his way into. Okay.
He tried to force his way into zone coverage.
Sherman arrived at a family member's house early Wednesday morning, tried to force his way into the home. Officers were called to the scene. So he didn't beat up his wife or anything, but I guess I don't know whose house it was.
Sounds like he beat up a door.
Was it burglary or was it breaking and entering? Not burglary, was it?
Well, apparently he never got into the residence.
So stole something from the garden gnome outside, or
I don't know. Sherman was outside, never gained entrance to the residence. The initial interaction between Sherman and police was cordial. The situation turned when officers informed Sherman that they had established probable cause to make an arrest. He attempted to walk away and at a point accelerated his pace. And then the cops,
and we all know he can run pretty fast, so.
Yeah, he is at the end of his career.
Here's the sentence of the story. An altercation occurred, and subsequently, a canine was employed to gain or to assist in gaining compliance in taking him into custody.
There you go.
So he was, he was not going quietly into that good squad car. And so they at least menaced him with a canine. It doesn't say anything about him actually getting bitten. So.
Interesting.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm wondering if Peyton Manning was in a similar situation, if the canine would be called on him.
Probably no.
Apparently, 1:26 a.m., a 911 call reported a possibly impaired driver had entered a closed construction zone. The license plate reported Sherman as owner of the car, which was later found abandoned in a nearby parking lot and appeared to have sustained significant damage from impact with a barrier.
All right, so there's more to it than
So something's going on.
A little late night partying, a little maybe construction zone
activity,
and then I'm gonna break into my relative's house.
To
hide from said activity. Maybe
they took some blood, but the results are pending. So
pending. There you go. Well, more on this story as it develops.
More as it develops.
There you go.
Well, he's currently a free agent, so
Well, there you go. And
get
then
on it, Jets.
And if there's any validity to all of this, and things get prosecuted, he will probably remain a free agent.
Well, or the interest in the Philadelphia Eagles has tripled in Richard Sherman since this incident.
Exactly. And,
That's our kind of guy.
We get a package deal.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll be good from now on, so let's bring him in, right?
Yeah. He'll be a good boy. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That'll wrap up this minor NFL talk. Let's talk about what started 27 minutes ago.
This podcast?
No. Game 4. Game 4 started 27 minutes ago.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Giannis was going off the other day, huh?
Look,
Two 40-point games back to back.
40, and he lost the first one. 41 points he lost.
Well, he's scoring in the paint. He's doing what he needs to do. I think. Look, I think the home team might hold court in this series.
He's going to be. Yeah.
I think it might be a seven gamer, and the Bucks the Bucks seem to forget what wins them games, and that's getting the ball in Giannis's hands, but not having him hold on to it very long, and getting him the ball deep in the paint. I mean, it's not even like he scored in the paint. He scored under the basket. All of his shots were just right under the basket.
Right.
And that's if they can get Ayton into foul trouble, then that takes a big piece of the Spurs defense off the court, and they don't really have an answer for him. And if Holiday and Middleton can just play their normal games, I think the Bucks have a chance of turning this into a 7-game series. It's going to come down to who really plays better, Middleton and Holiday, and can you get Devin Booker to not be Devin Booker for 3 games?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. I think you're right, though. I was saying that before. I said that last week. I think this is going to be a home field all the way through, and it was going to go at least 6, but I think it's going to go to 7. Right now, it's 18-14. Suns are
18-14. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I still don't think it's going to go 7. I think I said I would be surprised if it went more than 5. It might go 6, but I don't know. I think Game 3 was a blip.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Devin Booker had a terrible game, and he's performed well following games when he's been held 15 points or less. So, I think he scored 10. So he had a really bad game.
Gotcha.
Look, Giannis is a great player, no question about it. Suns will have to shoot well from the outside.
And they shot in Game 2. They shot lights out from outside. I mean, that was the difference, and it really comes down to Middleton. The key to the Bucks is Middleton, and you don't see Chris Middleton disappear very often like he did in Game 2. He was back in Game 3. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's look, Chris Paul's been able to keep himself on the court. He's having a hell of a series. Obviously, he's been the most consistent player for the Suns. It's going to come down to Booker versus Middleton. Booker needs to, have a 28 to 32 point game, I think, for the Suns to win. And Middleton needs to score 25, 26 and be efficient and take some of the and not allow the Suns defense to pack down on Giannis in the paint. So we'll see. If the role players show up for Milwaukee, they're a much deeper team, I think, than people give them credit for. If 3 of their big 4 perform well, and you get some input from Brook Lopez, then they're a hard team to beat.
Yep.
Second quarter seems to be Game 2, Phoenix was plus 14. Game 3, Milwaukee plus 18. Every other quarter in this series has been decided by single digits. So, of course, those single digits can add up, but still, the second quarter seems to be the one where at least in the last 2 games, the eventual winner puts on a boost.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We haven't really had a close game yet.
Nope. No, I think it's been 10 points or more every single game.
Yeah. 118, 105, 118, 108, 120, 100. So, been no close games. No close games.
Look, DeAndre Ayton's already taken 3 more shots than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, I mean, the Suns are trying to mix it up. They're trying to go inside out. They're trying to make Giannis have to play a little defense to get him off his game. the Suns are a really well coached team. I think if there's one advantage, and I'm not taking anything against Budenholzer or whatever the hell his name is, but I think the Suns have an advantage when it comes to coaching. I really do.
What's his name?
I don't know. I can never say it for some reason.
I know. It reminded me of what's the movie where the coach always gets the guy's name wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The baseball movie?
Buckholzer? What is his name?
Buchenholzer?
Is George Karl still the coach of the Bucks?
What was it? The baseball
Rowan
movie?
Gardner.
Rowan Gardner. Yeah.
Can never get his
Right.
name
Right. And Wagner.
Budenhocker.
Rosenwiesen.
Buchenhutzen.
Rosenwiesen.
What's his
Are we
name?
excited, by the way, speaking of basketball?
Reggie Buckholder?
Something like that.
Are we excited about the USA basketball?
Well, look, that's the
And the
biggest
Olympic-
thing. That's the biggest thing.
Isn't Todd Frazier playing on the USA basketball team?
Yeah. The U.S. basketball team's in a world of trouble right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a hangover from a long season and guys in the playoffs, but they better step it up or else they are not going to win a gold medal. And they should.
And they should. There you go.
You know?
Did you hear the latest though? Whoever wins the whoever's the MVP of the NBA Finals gets a guest spot on the Cube with Dwayne Wade.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know what
That's
that
making
is.
it up, but
I don't know what the hell that even is. But
I have not. Have you watched any of it?
You haven't seen any of it?
No.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
Game show, right? I've
It's a
seen
game show.
I've seen promos for it.
I can't watch any of that garbage.
Dwayne Wade is the host, and
The View, The Voice.
He asks
America's
questions,
Got
and you got to
Talent.
throw like a ball into a
God.
thing inside the cube, and there's other stuff. I don't know. It's. I've seen 3 minutes total of it when I turn the TV on and it's on, and I see like 30 seconds and switch it, that kind of thing. And I've seen the promos.
Didn't LeBron host like a Plinko game show or something like that?
Kawhi Leonard's hosting a show on IFC where you just sit next to him in silence for half an hour.
Actually, well, he had surgery, so I guess he was legitimately hurt, torn ACL. I think he should have played through it though.
Yeah, through a torn ACL.
Yeah, just wrap
brace on,
wrap some tinfoil.
Wrap it up. Come on.
Wrap it up. He'll take
Stick a pin right through the middle of the joint and go get him.
Done.
Yeah.
That's
know what Tua did. Look, it'd be interesting to see what the ratings are for this. I feel like having basketball this deep into the summer has had a little bit of a narcotic effect on the game. It's just like, and they haven't been close.
I agree with you. And this is
when do the finals usually end?
June.
It's June, right? Okay.
Yeah, June.
Beginning of June.
This is
so how did we? And everybody says they're already long. How did we get
middle of June?
Middle, the 20th, 23rd,
how did we get to
20th, 21st?
the middle of July?
They started late.
Oh, okay, right.
Started late, but whatchamacallit, this is the first time. I mean, the joke is, the bar bet, whatever you want to call it or whatever. What are the only 2 days of the year that there's no professional sports on, and it's the day before and the day after the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really count the day before because everybody's watching the home run derby and that. But so it's the day after the All-Star game. There's never any sports on. Nothing. You can't watch anything. Not even, whatever. Just lets the replay or whatever. So tonight, the NBA Finals.
The NBA is like, yeah, we got that.
Yeah. So this year that doesn't count this year, because of that.
So there's only one day.
There's only one. And that was won by Pete Alonso. But anyway,
right.
Yeah, I think it's going to go 7. I do. I think it's going to go 7. I think next and Game 7 will, if it does go 7, is next Thursday. So we'll actually have another show before the finals is decided.
I hope it goes 7. I mean, I hope we have a series, and I think this is going to be the deciding game. If somebody can break the home court advantage, then yeah, it might be a shorter series. I just think this Bucks team is not playing up to their potential, and I think these teams are pretty evenly matched on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on paper there should be no reason this does not go 7. Yeah, just shouldn't be, and it'll come down to.
But the Suns are a more consistent shooting team.
Sure.
They play really good team defense. And they have the best. The one guy on the court who can create a shot for himself and score at will when he is on, and consistently he is Devin Booker. I mean, he's the best player shooter on the court. Giannis is an amazing player, but with the game on the line, I'd rather have the ball in Booker's hands.
There you go.
By the way, forget about the Nets winning anything next year, because Kevin Durant is going to be featured on the next NBA 2K video game.
Yep,
release,
that's done. All right.
along with Luka Doncic and Candace Parker.
Well, look,
and something bad is going to happen to Kareem and Dirk Nowitzki, because they're going to be on the cover of the NBA 75th edition. So bad season for all those.
So
Thank you.
Kareem's not doing anything next year. Is that what you're saying then?
He should, try and stay home as much.
Exactly. So,
the U.S. basketball team. I mean, they have Draymond on their team, so I can't imagine why they're just not,
walking away with it,
rolling up the points.
Exactly.
Like this.
But look, the loss to Nigeria, that was big, right?
Right.
Then they lost to Australia. That was kind of big, but Australia's not a bad team, right?
Their best player is Patty Mills.
Okay, so they're not a bad team. And then they whacked Argentina by 28. So
did they
back on track? Yeah, 108-80.
Okay.
They're back on track.
I don't think Ginobili is playing for them anymore, but yeah,
they got it back together.
I don't think he is.
Say Patty Smythe was the best player on.
Patty Smythe, yeah.
On
Patty Mills.
She's the warrior.
Yeah, she
heart
is.
Heart to heart, you'll win if you survive.
If you survive.
Yeah.
There you go.
She married a athlete. Name the athlete that she was married to.
John McEnroe.
There you go. Yeah, I think this has a lot. I think that for somebody like Damian Lillard, and especially for Kevin Durant, this Olympics is going to have a lot to say. That this is going to impact their legacy a bit. I mean, Kevin Durant and Damian Lillard alone, you could put Draymond Green and Kevin Love out there. They should be lighting up this Olympic. I mean, the Olympic game is built for those two.
Right.
Right. Well, let me ask you this about the NBA Finals. We haven't had close games, but if this does go 6 or 7, will it still be considered a good series?
Well, I mean, if the game,
let's say we don't have
close,
let's say we don't have any buzzer beaters.
I think tonight's game should be close.
Let's say we don't have any buzzer beaters, but you have games that come down to maybe 3 or 4 points.
Right.
Yeah. That'll help.
But if it doesn't have longevity, then
we've had 3 games.
It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The closest one was 12 points, right? 10 points.
Right. That's what I mean. If it goes 6,
one was 10,
but nothing's really closer
13 points, 10 points,
8 or
20
whatever,
points.
Then it's going to kind of be.
Well, it's got to shift at some point. I mean, you would think that they're not all going to be 10+ point games, and even if they wind up that way, maybe it's a 2 or 3 point game going into the final couple minutes, and free throws push it, up to that 10-point margin. I think tonight's game. My prediction is that tonight's game is going to be tight. I think it will be a tight game. I think it's really going to come down to which team can control the turnovers, and if it's going to come down to Middleton. Chris Middleton is going to have to step up and hit some big shots for the Bucks to win today, because I don't think Giannis is going to have as dominant a game. His numbers at the end might be close, but I don't think it's going to be where he's just lighting it up in the first half and the Bucks go into halftime up by 15 or 20. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a close game, and the Bucks have a hard time winning close games. Having said that, they consistently through these playoffs, they have come back and won games. And they've been able to look
like they weren't going to,
and they've been able to win some close games and hold on. So I think they need to survive at home. If the Bucks win tonight, I think they will trade. Whether or not they hold home court or not, I think we're looking at least 6 or 7 games. And look, I agree with you. I think it's possible that Phoenix could win tonight and then close it out at home, and with the gentleman's sweep. I hope that doesn't happen for the sake of the game. It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't happen,
and it will too. If for some reason Phoenix wins tonight, it's done.
Well, we said the same. We said the same thing about the Bucks when they got blown out by the Nets, and we're going back, right? Weren't they going back to Brooklyn and they won? So you don't know. The Suns are a much more consistent team. yes, Booker had, and they lost because Booker didn't have a great shooting night. The Bucks are a team that their identity is never consistent. Their identity is never consistent. And I think that you have to go with what works and what consistently wins you games. But if Giannis starts to get happy feet and decide, hey, I'm going to start shooting threes, or if they just don't get the mix of the ball into people's hands, they have to dominate inside. They have to take advantage of the best player on their team and a 2-time MVP and get him the ball and let him work quickly to his advantage. And look, he also hit his free throws to a greater extent. So, and look, they were after the game. There was some working of the refs complaining about the disparity in free throws. So I think you're going to see that impact the game a little bit tonight as well.
Right. Gotcha. Right. Well, we will find out. Like I said, if it does go 7, we'll our show next week will be.
We'll just do a play-by-play of Game 7.
Well, we can't because it'll be Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So, it'll Game 6.
We'll do a mock Game 7.
Then we'll do a mock game.
Well, yeah, there
game
must
6,
be like a.
If there's a Game 6, it's next Tuesday, and then Game 7 will be Thursday.
What's the baseball game? Statomatic or Stratomatic or whatever, where you can recreate the game.
Like that, yeah.
There must be a basketball version of that.
It's a low-scoring game. We're already in the second quarter, and it's 25-20. So, I mean, that, I think, benefits the Bucks a little bit. But DeAndre Ayton's having a good game. Crowder's another guy who's an unsung player on the Suns team. He was a good pickup. He's been on a couple good teams now. And 28-26. And this is going to be a close one.
It's 30 now. 26-30.
Okay. I think this is going to be a close one.
It's definitely going to be a close one. But I think that Milwaukee will. I think the Trailblazers are just going to come back and win the series. Without anything.
Bill Walton's healthy, then I just don't think the Sonics team can keep up with the Trailblazers.
No. The Pelicans,
John Kemp's out.
Shot for the Pelicans.
Sean Kemp is out, and
the team's no longer even in that city.
Right.
So
I mean, Truck Robinson was a good offseason pickup.
Sonics are going to win it all.
Bob McAdoo plays. This series is over.
But I think Milwaukee will win tonight. It'll be close, but Milwaukee will win. Right. I honestly think it's going to 7. So we'll see.
We'll see next week.
We may see in an hour and a half. We'll find out.
Right.
But we'll see. And then one last thing. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They did indeed.
Oh yeah.
They did indeed win last week.
It's a big year for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't want to be the Tampa Bay team that didn't win, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Or another one that didn't win.
Another one that didn't.
Well, I mean, last year the Rays were close. I mean, the Rays could be there this year. You never know.
The Rays were close last year. The Bucks won, and the Lightning won last year and this year. So Tampa Bay's racking up some.
And who knows? Maybe the New Orleans Pelicans will move to Tampa Bay. That's one sport I just can't see catching on in Tampa Bay's basketball. But
yeah, probably not so much. No.
I don't know.
Who would have thought hockey would catch on in Tampa Bay?
Well, who would have thought hockey is catching on anywhere?
All you got to do is win the cup every 4 years, and surprise, you get fans, right?
Exactly.
Although that didn't. Well, the Marlins had a brief run there way back in the day.
Look, it's easy. It's easy to tell a bunch of Canadians, "Hey, you want to come play in Tampa Bay? It's 60 degrees in January or 70 degrees in January.
Right. Sign me up. I'm there." There you go.
Yeah, I still feel bad for Montreal, though.
Yeah,
at least wanted to see a little bit of a series.
And congratulations to Montreal. I mean, they had a hell of a.
It was. They had a good year.
And look, Tampa Bay proved to be a good team. So I mean, I think that bodes well for the Islanders. I mean, it's. I think you're starting to see some teams start to creep up and at least challenge the Washingtons and the Tampa Bays of the NHL, and I think that bodes well.
I think it does too, and I think watch out. I mean, then next year the Rangers are going to be even better than they are, so we could have some decent hockey.
Here we go.
In New York.
Here we go.
Rangers, give me a break.
Here we go.
Give me a break.
Had to say it. Anyway,
well, I mean, if history is, does hold court, for lack of a better term, then the Rangers will be good next year. The Rangers typically, after down seasons, do come back and have a good season, and the Rangers have been they've been a consistently good organization over the last 20 years, 25 years.
I mean, they were in the Stanley Cup Finals 9 years ago, so didn't win, obviously. But
They won it only a quarter century ago.
They won it 27 years ago. They won it.
Yeah, they're the young championship team
through,
out of Madison Square Garden.
They're what is it? 50 years, right? 50.
That's right.
54 years. 54 years.
Before the last time they won it was
54 years between wins, between victories.
Right, so they're halfway.
So they're halfway right now. They're halfway.
Another 27. And
another 27 to get another cup.
Yeah, there we go.
But
cup for 54 years.
They've won it. They've won it more recently than the other team that plays in Madison Square Garden.
Couldn't happen to a nicer team, if you ask me.
Yeah, but the other team that plays in Madison Square Garden could have and actually probably should have won it the same year.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
But
let's not go into.
We're
that.
not going to go there. We're not going to go
there.
Well, there's an interesting question: whose prospects are better amongst those two teams?
The Rangers or the Knicks?
The Knicks.
Yeah,
about the same.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd give maybe a little edge to the Knicks, but
I give an edge to the Knicks right now. Yeah, but it's close.
You got to look at the ownership too and go, well,
the Knicks
that's kind of a strike against for the Knicks.
Well, both.
It's the same ownership for the Rangers.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but he's not.
He's hands off. He's hands off with the Rangers. Yeah,
the way he is with the Knicks, though.
He couldn't figure out how to start the Zamboni.
He tried. He tried. Just wasn't working. He was melting the ice as he was driving over.
Oh God, yeah.
Like
all right,
puddling it. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Anything else? What do you guys think?
I think we're done.
I think we're good.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. All right. Well, in that case, we'll wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Watch a lot of sports. Keep your eye on the NBA Finals Game 4 tonight. And as the baseball comes out of the All-Star break, some second half starting up. So keep your eyes on that. Watch a lot of sports. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Peace.